Welcome to another episode of Family Goals with David Pollack and Pastor Jay. Hey, we just
Pastor Jay.
Pastor Jay. You know, a lot of people are starting to call me Pastor Jay.
They should.
Yeah,
it's a good nickname.
It's like catching on.
I like it. It's a solid nickname. We should make some shirts with your face on it and say Pastor Jay. Let's get weird.
You still have the shirt company?
Yeah. Nah. We did a lot of stuff with that. That was fun though for a little while. Made some hats for Graystone.
Those are sweet. So, Halloween.
Yeah.
Your kids go trick-or-treating?
Yes.
Yeah?
Of course they do.
Did you let them eat the candy?
You made it sound, first of all, you make it sound like I tell them they cannot have the candy. If they would like the candy, they can have candy.
Oh, they can eat candy.
They can't eat all the candy.
I figured you wouldn't let them eat candy.
No, this is actually a battle I'm fighting with my daughter now too. But no, they chose to give their candy away. They chose not to keep their candy.
Who did they give it to?
Their friends that were with them. We went with a bunch of friends and ended up just raiding their bag, which is perfect. Don't worry, Mashburn gets all the Reese's and Kit Kats and eats all those. But you know, it's interesting. You know, I've tried with my daughter because I told y'all how she's very much like me with eating sweets. No, she's like, she will not touch sweets.
Okay.
She won't touch them. So everything she picks up, she reads the label. And I'm like, dude. So we're trying to get her to chill out with that. Like, you know, we don't want to give girls a complex, and you don't want to give anybody a complex, but we don't want her to think about that. And so we've tried our best. And I've even been like, hey, Leah, let's go get a sweet. Let's go get a dessert. Let's go get a Blizzard. To try. And you know me, I don't eat that at all, ever. I haven't in 15 years. But I'm trying to get her to like realize that portion control is okay. Mm-hmm. But more is caught than taught. And guess what? Daddy doesn't eat sweets, and Daddy doesn't do that, so she doesn't do it.
Now, have you ever had a Reese's peanut butter cup?
I did back in the day when I was 292. That picture on the wall, maybe. But I mean, when I was a lot thicker, I used to do that, but just not as much. I don't have the off switch. Okay, like Davey doesn't need to do gambling, and I don't need to do alcohol. Like I don't have I don't have moderation in my system, in my DNA. I am all in. Let's go. So we just keep all of it out. We're good to go. But so I've been trying to convince her it's okay. It's not going to kill you. But needless to say, you can do what you want with the candy. You can't eat the whole bag, but it's not. I'm not gonna kill you. They got to make their own decisions, right? Like they're just like Nicholas. When I took him to get his haircut a couple weeks ago, or whatever. It's his hair now. Like my wife did say she will not have a kid flip her hair like during a sporting event. Like he's in basketball now, right? So she will not have him like styling his hair on the court. She's like, that's not allowed in my house. Your hair will have to be shorter than that. I was like, that's amazing. Or he could
go headband. He could have a headband.
Headband's amazing. Headband's good.
Or one of our old friends used to do in church basketball, wear the do-rag.
Do-rag solid.
While he's playing.
Coates wore the headband. Remember? Coates wore it well.
Coates, yeah.
Coates likes the headband.
Yeah, Jolyn will sometimes break out a headband. Or
the headband?
Yeah.
Shooting sleeve.
Flow band.
A what?
Flow band.
The flow.
The flow's up top.
Yeah.
Again, old man.
Hair's not really, not really a strength.
Gramps, do you know what drip means?
I've heard the term.
There's no shot, is it?
No. He saw some of my buddies at the gym a few months ago, and he's like, "Y'all getting swollen?"
Yeah, we're trying to get swollen in here. Just it's swole, Gramps.
Yeah.
I like your drip though.
I learned that later, and so but now every time I see them at the gym, I say, "Y'all getting swollen."
Yeah, now you got to keep it. Absolutely got to keep it.
I just keep it.
It's the old man joke.
At some point, you just embrace it, right? Like,
yeah.
I think you did a couple years ago when you retired from Graystone basketball. I think you threw the towel in. You're like, yeah, I'm good.
No, I have not retired. I have not been invited back to the team, but I'm thinking about me and Shelnut. You know, Wayne Shelnut is arguably the greatest church basketball player Graystone has ever had. We're looking at putting together maybe a B team.
I was about to say our team's full.
I'm down for a B team.
Are you down for a B team?
Come on.
Put two teams in that league?
Oh, yeah.
That'd be good.
Yeah, we could meet y'all.
Just hopefully we don't play y'all.
See you in the ship. Hey, is Mashburn back? Is he?
He's back. He's back from the ACL. Yeah. We got Royal. We got Coates.
Not only I'm not really sure how Pastor Jay isn't on the team, because Pastor Jay's like the leader of the team, the coach of the team. Like, but is there even a team without Pastor Jay?
It's just like all these great organizations that they just Kobe Bryant, retires and they move on, right? Like
They move on.
Phil Jackson retires, they move on. Like we're not like building a statue for you. You weren't that good.
Yeah. So here's what I really got an issue with.
Okay.
So I'm texting Mashburn the other day because his girls got baptized. And I was just congratulating him, and he's super excited about that. And Pastor Jay hasn't even been invited to the Pollack's house for pickup basketball.
You actually could play in that.
Oh yeah,
we play.
I know some of the people who are playing in that.
Jeff
league.
Whitaker.
Hey, I'm not mentioning any names, but when a few of the guys were telling me that they were playing in the league, I'm like, how come Pastor Jay hasn't gotten
It's not
invite?
a league. It's just we play pickup on Mondays and Thursdays at 8:30. So if you ever want to come, drive on up. We're playing tonight. If you'd like to come play, there's your invite.
Maybe Jolyn and I will show up.
There we go.
Are you in?
Let's go.
Yeah.
I don't believe
Are you
you're
serious or
coming.
are you joking?
I'm in, man. I hadn't played basketball since knee surgery, but I'm sure I can hang with some of these cats.
I think you can with some of those guys. Yeah, we have some older gentlemen that you can run with.
Yeah, I was talking with someone the other day. We're not going to name any names, but he was telling me about the time that he played, and he said he had a breakaway. He said he went crashing into the wall in a layup. So I can still slap.
If Tony
the glass.
Smith can play,
I can still slap the glass on a layup.
If Tony Smith can play, who you know very well.
I know Tony well. Does he even play basketball?
No, he never has in his life until pick up basketball with us. And I've never seen somebody that could throw it over the goal like Tony.
The person I was
it's impressive
thinking of was Mac Bryce. He's a former offensive lineman as well.
He doesn't play anymore. he played for a couple weeks and he was so bad he said he had to retire.
So we're 7 minutes in. I think we need to talk about something.
Don't you have seven rules or something?
Content. Yeah, so we're talking today about marriage. We want to continue talking about the marriage, the priority of marriage. And so 7 killers of marriage, 7 marriage killers. And this comes from James Dobson's book, Love for a Lifetime. And so I thought we'd just mention the 7 killers and we could talk about it a little bit. The first one is overcommitment and physical exhaustion.
Well, you said that in the last pod.
Yeah.
You said overcommitment, and which led to arguments. And I've seen that with my wife. If we're doing too much and we're going here, overwhelmed, short, not just with me, but she'll be short with the kids too. Like when you get overwhelmed, it changes your personality. When you get fatigued, it changes your personality. I agree with that.
How do you keep from overcommitting?
I think that's a you question because you did a good job of that. I'm all in for everything.
Well, I don't see how you do all that you do, but I think you have to learn to say no.
Yeah.
Because people are going to ask you all the time, which is great because you want to be included. And maybe you were trying to protect my schedule, not asking me to be a part of the pickup basketball at your house.
Actually, when you said that, honest to God, the first thing that came to mind was you're going to be leaving your bride for the whole night. That is the first thing that came to my mind because of the pods. But
yeah, so she has Celebrate Recovery on Monday nights. So we might could work something out. But all right, so overcommitment, physical exhaustion is the first marriage killer. A second marriage killer is debt and conflict over money.
I've only had one time in my life where this is applicable, so I'm not qualified at all to speak on this again because we kind of talked about it. Like I had a lottery ticket at 22, but we were building our house and we had our other house and some stress, and it was amazing how much it put on my wife. So I can, and I've seen it with other people too, like the stress of it. It's crazy. It's a different kind of pressure. It's a different kind of weight on your shoulders that I can see that for people that it could be a big problem. Yeah,
and if you're trying to make it to the end of the month and finances is a struggle and a stress, and are we gonna be able to get these bills paid? Are we gonna be able to make the house payment? I mean, that's a lot of stress. Statistics show that people who get divorced, arguments over money is sex and money. Those are the two.
Those are the top two?
Those are the top two with people,
sex and money?
People getting divorced. Yeah.
I wouldn't have thought sex would have been one.
Well, unfaithfulness in the marriage, infidelity.
That's a different kind of sex, yeah.
Yeah, the other side.
Sex not with your spouse.
Right.
That's a different kind of problem.
Yeah. So, and again, my son Joan is in the room with us. So
Well, we weren't talking any specifics. I mean,
right. So number 3 marriage killer is interference from the in-laws.
oh, I could see this. I could see that. I mean, I think that the Bible says what? Leave and cleave.
Leave and cleave.
Go make your own life. And I think a lot of people, they think that they're, and again, I don't think they think that they're kind of disrespecting their parents. I don't think you're necessarily disrespecting your parents. You're just creating your own life. You talked about it with letting your kids go. I mean, you gotta let that go. And there are some parents that have a hard time with doing that. And I mean, I can tell you this right now. I've made my mom cry many a times, and for some of the dumbest reasons that I've known to man. And I'll give you one now. This is amazing. My wife's she's gonna flip her lid. This is awesome.
Or should we?
Nah, we're good.
Should I put up the barrier here, the roadblock?
This is for the people. The people need to hear this. So we're in Cincinnati. Nobody's ever gonna convince you that Kelly is very, Mama P is very overbearing. She in the past more so than now. She's unbelievable now, but she would come up once a week in my college apartment. She would clean the house, the apartment. She would stock the fridge. She would take my laundry home and bring it back the next week. So Mama P did everything.
Well, that just answered a lot of questions I had about you.
Correct. Which is why my wife is always on our kids to do their own laundry, do their own things. Don't end up like your daddy. And so she came up, and my mom, Lindsay, was going through this study, and it was on barriers. And is it barriers? Yeah. I think it's barriers. Yeah, I think it was barriers. It was a study with the pastor or the chaplain at Cincinnati and all the wives, and they were doing barriers. And my mom.
Boundaries.
That's it. How'd you know that?
Yeah.
Just a pastoral term. Boundaries.
Well, Henry Cloud's written a book, Boundaries.
Okay. They did that boundaries book. And so my mom came up and changed our sheets on our bed, which is, some people feel a certain kind of way about that's not somebody's place to maybe take your sheets in your master bedroom and
don't touch my sheets.
I just saying, that's some people's rules. And then there was a wreath that was sent from my grandmother, her mom, to us. And my mom took the wreath and put it on the door, opened it up out of the package and put it on the door.
So she's decorating it.
She's decorating at our house. So newsflash, I don't care. Doesn't bother me, right? My wife is going through this study, and she came to me and she was like, I don't understand what's going on here. There's boundaries to this. You can't do this. And I'm like, boundaries? What are you talking about? Yeah, okay. And so she gets on me. She's like, you need to talk to her and you need to tell her. So I had to pull my mom in the office, and I talked to my mom. I was like, Mom, listen, you can't do this stuff. We're trying to figure out how to do this stuff by ourselves, and there's boundaries. She's like, what do you mean boundaries? I was like, I don't know. I don't know, but apparently there's boundaries to this stuff. But it was a whole altercation. So I can see how in-laws very much, because you got to build your own life. You got to do your own things. You got to find out what makes you guys you, and you got to find out what makes y'all's marriage tick, and they're most important. And a lot of times, there's the in-laws they don't necessarily look at things from a we perspective or an us, like you said a couple weeks ago. They look at their kid or the one that they've got skin in the game with, and making sure they're okay. And, you got to kind of figure it out. There's no study guide. There's no rule for this. You got to go figure this stuff out yourself and figure it out with talking to your wife, not your mother-in-law.
Yeah. Well, a couple of thoughts I had there is the wife wants to feather her own nest. She wants to do that. She wants to be the one to
prove that she can take care of it.
And it's her family. And I think, Jennifer and I are growing through this because our middle child is recently married. And so she's starting her own family. They're starting their own life. And so we're trying to
figure out where you fit in.
Yeah. Figure out, we're trying to give them as much space as possible. Let them to be as flexible as possible. But it's harder for the parents, because all parents still view it as like this is our family, instead of, hey, they're starting a whole new family. And then there's all kind of other issues that get involved with, where are we going to spend the holidays? Are we going to do Christmas at your house? Are we going to do Christmas at my parents' house? Or where are we going to do Thanksgiving? And if you have,
So what do y'all do? Just trying to stay out of the way and let them make that decision?
well, when Jennifer and I first got married, with our parents, we were upfront with them. Hey, we'll spend Thanksgiving with you and Christmas with you, because our parents lived in different states.
Yeah.
So they weren't close. And so we weren't having to go, hey, we're going to go to the morning of Christmas with y'all and then come to. So we tried to be as fair as possible. We alternate each year. And what we're doing now is we're just being flexible. So we're saying, we're hosting Thanksgiving in our house. You guys are invited. Love for y'all to come.
Understand if you can't.
Understand if you can't. You know, and if you have other plans and want to do
Are they
other
coming
things,
for Thanksgiving?
They haven't let us know yet. So part of it is with Matthew's job, he only gets so much time off, and so
You're on a need-to-know basis.
They've got a 4-day window, so they can.
Where are they living?
They live in Cumming, about an hour from here, and so we went and saw their place the other night, and they just got a dog, a little Frenchie bulldog.
All I can think in my head is how much people lied to me when they said that having a dog's like having a kid. Such a lie. Such bull crap.
Well, I don't think they think that, but they've got a cute little Frenchie bulldog. Let's move on here. 7 marriage killers. Number 4 says unrealistic expectations. So the wife, I mean, this is kind of the husband and wife thing. The wife has these unrealistic expectations of romance, and the husband has unrealistic expectations of sex. What sex is going to be like?
Every night. How is that not unrealistic? Like 7 nights a week. Come on, babe.
What is this podcast? PG? What's our rating?
I don't think it really matters. We've never cursed.
Yeah.
But not yet. Ain't that's no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I can see how this one would be a big downfall. And I think I've seen it with different marriages too, but guys are just built different, and you have to understand it, and women have to understand men, and men have to understand women. But like, I just like me and my wife work better in this avenue if we understand what's important to each of us. Like it's not just about what you want. It's not, I mean, if you ever thought about it, like when you're thinking about you want sex. First of all, when you first get married, you always want sex all the time. And we don't think about it, their day, if they're tired, like have we poured into them at all? But I think you would probably echo this too. Like you want to have more sex, treat her better. I mean,
yeah. And I think, and I've given a few sermons on this.
Yep.
But I love the principle of your goal is to meet her needs. The goal is not for her to meet your needs, but if the husband, hey, I'm trying to meet her needs, you know, and then I'll let her meet my needs. Correct. But I can't be going into it with trying to get my needs met.
Sorry, I'm smiling and laughing because, Jolin takes a lot of notes over here. And I don't see him taking any notes right now when you're speaking about sex.
Kind of got my head down.
Yeah.
Head down.
Yeah.
There's just probably some subjects that are a little awkward, right? Like with your kid in the room.
Yeah, definitely a little awkward, but.
Have y'all ever talked about this though in your marriage and like discussed what was important to you or?
All the time.
Okay.
And I think that's the most important thing is communication.
100%.
Like if you have a certain expectation, communicate with that instead of just thinking, well, why is he not getting it? Or why is she not getting it? Well, communicate what's your expectation, and then you can realistically talk about it. And I think you can't over communicate.
Nope. And women and men are microwaves and women are crock pots.
Exactly.
Just let that marinate. Women are not the same as us. They're not ready to go right now all the time. It's just not the way it works. Right, Jolin?
That's true.
I literally have no comment.
The temperature in here, man, the room just got pretty tense.
A little more warmth.
So let's move on to number 5. The 5th marriage killer is alcohol and sexual abuse. If anyone knows me, they know that I am completely against alcohol, and I have a very strong conviction against drinking alcohol. I mean, obviously, don't use any kind of drugs, but I have a strong conviction, and I have seen, talk about counseling couples. I mean, I have had people come in my office. I mean, countless number of couples that alcohol has destroyed the marriage, destroyed the family. And it's obvious. I mean, it's listed in the top 7 here. And so, I mean, you don't drink, do you?
No, I don't. But I've seen what it does to people, and I've seen a lot of arguments because of it with people, and I've seen how it creates. I've seen it do good things too. I've seen people get really happy, but I've also seen the opposite side of alcohol. I just think when anything's in control of you and you're not, you're in trouble. Like you're in a bad spot because things come out of your mouth in a different way. I never like hanging out with people that. It always makes me feel a different way when people are really drinking alcohol a lot and then their words change and curse words start flying out left and right. And it just changes who you are. So I think alcohol definitely can play a big role. And you've counseled enough people to, I've see that it's destroyed tons of families.
And dozens and dozens. I mean, we were trick-or-treating the other night and there's this guy that obviously had too much to drink and he was talking to us, and Jessie and her daughters were there, and he was using language he shouldn't be using. It just very uncomfortable.
It takes the filter out a lot of times. It just takes that in your mind that you usually have a little filter and a little bit of cause or pause, or you think about something before you'd say. A lot of times it takes that away, and I've seen multiple counts of that, and then you do end up doing stupid things that you regret.
But I think this would be another, like, I don't want to push my convictions on other people. I mean, Jennifer and I have chosen for us, we don't drink alcohol at all. That's something the husband and wife could talk about and decide together, hey, what.
But again, that goes to communication. You're right.
Communication.
And again, I've dealt with a couple recently that was divorced, that was their biggest struggle was, I don't want you drinking in front of the kids. I don't want you drinking because you changed the way you are. And we could all tell when he was drinking. Mm-hmm. Like, it was obvious. It was it was night and day obvious. And would still do it. And they're communicating, like, talk to your spouse. Do they feel like that's okay? If you're married and you have a relationship, I don't think we should ever be apart and one should be drinking. Mm-hmm. That's my opinion. Like, I don't think that's right. I would feel some kind of way. I don't know. Me and Lindsay have been very clear about that. I don't touch alcohol. She'll drink some wine occasionally, but not in mixed company, never outside of when we're together. That's just not something that she's going to choose to do.
Mm-hmm. So number 6 marriage killer is pornography. And Matthew 5:28 says, but I tell you that anyone who looks at a woman lustfully has already committed adultery with her in his heart. So obviously adultery would be a major marriage killer.
Yeah.
But pornography, I've also seen that destroy marriages.
100%.
And I tend to think the husband would be the one to struggle with pornography. I do know that in some instances it's the wife. But when we were talking about this, I can't remember if it's a previous podcast or just you and I together, but just the cell phones, the temptation is so great, or even with the computers. Because when I was a kid growing up, I mean, if you wanted to see some pornography, it was maybe your friend's dad had a Playboy magazine or something in his nightstand, and you snuck in there and looked at it, or you found a magazine out in the woods or something. But now,
you found a magazine in the woods.
Yeah, like a Playboy magazine out in the woods.
They just hanging out in the woods randomly.
I don't know, maybe some kids had it out there or something. I mean,
that's the strangest thing I've ever heard you say in my life. Just found a magazine in the woods, not in the trash or your buddy's house, but in the woods.
That's the memory that I have.
I hear you.
But my point is, today,
it's easier than ever.
It's so easy.
And to that point, Nicholas had a buddy came over, and that our rules, your phone goes in the middle of the house, and you get your, he left his phone. And I actually asked him, the dad, because he left and took him home, and then the dad, he had left his phone there. I go, what's his password? Because I want to go post some stuff on his social media. And I went on the social media, and I clicked on something while I was opening it up, and pop-up ad. And it wasn't, he didn't do anything. Like, your kid doesn't have to do anything. It finds them. Mm-hmm. Like, when they have social media, those pop-ups are coming. Those pictures are coming. Like, And what do you think it does to a boy? Okay, put yourself when you were younger and the things you did to that stuff and the thoughts you had when you were younger. So now you see it. You can't unsee that. Like, and so I think it's powerful not only for us. And listen, I'll be honest. I mean, I don't know if I'm supposed to admit this on the podcast stuff or not, but when you're on the road and you travel and you're away from your family, like there's a lot more things that come to your mind when you're in a hotel room and you're by yourself. Like I'm not immune to that either. So it's stuff that you got to be very purposeful, but you're setting a standard for your wife that she'll never be able to meet. I mean, it's not fair to her at all. But there's nothing healthy about it at all. So I think that we're going to have those opportunities. I just would, again, with the cell phones and with the access to it, it can find you nowadays easily.
And you used to hear guys, I don't know if guys say this anymore, but they would say things like, well, I can look, I just can't touch. And that is a big lie, because that you're putting those images into your mind.
And they're not going anywhere.
No.
The more you look, the more inclined you're going to be to touch in the future, and the more you put yourself in that situation.
Well,
is that 5 or 6?
I think we'll do a whole episode on the dangers of pornography destroying the family.
Yeah, and even real quick, even like the media justifies that it's like okay to see all these things on Instagram or TikTok or wherever, and they even justify that it's okay to struggle with pornography or like to even do pornography like inside of a marriage. Like they justify that's not a problem.
Yep.
And it's weird.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense.
Well, it's,
the media being weird could be another topic too. For
Let's just talk about the media.
That could be. I hate the media. Those people on TV suck.
So the 7th marriage killer is the greener grass of infidelity. That the grass is greener on the other side, or
well, you know what the grass is greenest, right?
Where's that?
Where you water it.
Yeah.
Right?
Water your own grass.
The grass is greenest where you water it.
Yeah.
So I think that's not gonna go away. And I think that I'm in a world where I see a lot of crazy stuff on the road too, or you see a lot of people that are quote unquote famous or whatever. And I think, shoot, I don't even think it's looked at as a bad thing anymore. I mean, it's crazy to me. Like I don't even know that it's a priority for a lot of people to even think about that they're married. And a lot of people wear it as a badge of honor that somebody is married and they're having an opportunity to do something with somebody. I mean, that's just crazy to me. Like it's not healthy. It's not good. That's nothing about that. That's good. Because it's real and it ruins marriages. How many of those have you counseled?
Yeah.
I mean,
well, the world has lowered the bar. They have lowered the standard so low. And as Christians, as followers of Jesus, Jesus has to be our standard.
that was a good sermon. I liked when you used the pole vault
Yeah,
too.
when we had the pole vault.
It's a good sermon.
You know, it's easy to find somebody else that you're doing better than, and that's a low standard that easy to jump over that bar. But when Jesus says, don't even look lustfully at a woman, you know, just strive for purity. And, but you have to, I mean, it could happen to anybody, this whole greener grass of infidelity. And so that's why we talked about this in a previous podcast. You got to set the boundaries. You got to set boundaries. You got to water your own grass. And you have to remember the covenant of marriage, that it's a covenant. You have cut a covenant with God. It's between one man, one woman with God for life. And you
got to be careful when you, in any aspect, in any realm, when you're looking at everybody else and when you just see the outside view, man, it's tough. And that's for good or for bad. That's whether the grass is greener comment, but when you're judging somebody else about what they're doing, like you don't have a clue what's going on in their lives. I mean, we gotta get that out of our lives. The comparison trap, the looking at other things and thinking some kind of way, man, I tell you what, it's an easy way to get yourself in trouble. It's just, it's not good.
Joel, anything to,
do you have any comments about your mom and your dad or?
No, not at all. Okay. I think the biggest application for me is if it doesn't benefit your walk with God or your marriage, it's just like cut it off. It's like, don't do it. Stay away from it, no matter what.
Yeah, and if there's any of these marriage killers that are going on in your life, do whatever you can to
kill it.
Yeah, and to protect the marriage.
And that won't be
So,
easy.
No.
Like if you have an addiction, with porn, or if something you've been done, that's a habit that's not going to go away. I mean, you're not going to go, I'm done, never going to have it, and not going to have temptation. You're still going to have temptation. That's always going to be a part of your life.
And there's nothing weak about getting the help that you need. And so get the counseling you need. If you need to join Celebrate Recovery, join Celebrate Recovery. Like do whatever you've got to do to, and I always tell couples this, no matter what you've been through, like the goal is to stay together. The goal is to restore that relationship. And I know sometimes
it's unrestorable.
It's unrestorable. And God is, and God gives some exceptions in the Bible for divorce, but
most things can be repaired.
But it can be repaired. And,
requires work, just like if you're going to repair a house, it requires work.
Fight hard for your marriage. Instead of fighting in your marriage, fight for your marriage. So thank you guys so much for joining us for season 1 of Family Goals with David Pollack and Pastor Jay. As you guys can tell, we've had a blast on these first few episodes of the podcast, but also we hope it's challenged you and encouraged you in your relationship with God, in your marriage, and in your family. And so as we move into the holiday season, I want to encourage you to protect your marriage, prioritize your family, and keep Jesus Christ at the center of your Christmas. I hope you guys have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. We're going to kick off season 2 of the podcast after college football is over. So we hope to see you guys in January.